Hello Mega Tripper! You join me on another special mini trip here on Mega Trip, and this time I'm going to try and do a 24-hour trip to Béziers in southern France. I'm just here at Stansted Airport, about to go jump on the plane. I'll give you a few more details later, but for now let's check out what's coming up on this Mega Trip mini vid right now. The flight got in probably 2 hours late, and that means I have missed the bus. First impressions, absolutely amazing. Let's go get a beer. About time. Don't really know what that means, but apparently it's a big sod-off fountain. But I bet you are thinking, is this a Mega Trip mini trip without looking at any water, any boats? Hell no. Strap in, I promise it'll be cool. Smell amazing. Got no idea. Let's go. Don't have enough good things to say about the ambiance here in Béziers. Not saying I don't like it, it's probably better than just piss. Through the magic of editing, you now know more than I do about what's going to happen to me in the next 24 hours. And it's already teeing up to be a bit of a spicy one. On a 24-hour trip anywhere, the last thing that you want is any kind of a delay. And of course, I've just found out that my flight's delayed. So I guess we'll see what happens. Before I go through security and get going on this adventure, I just want to take a minute to ask you to please make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss what's going to happen on the rest of this trip to Béziers, or in fact my mega trip, which will be starting in just a few weeks. So it's just down there. If you just hit the subscribe, ring the little icon, ring the little bell icon. It doesn't cost you anything. You can unsubscribe at any time, and it really, really does help the channel, helps me, and make sure that you don't miss any more content here on Mega Trip. With all that being said, let's get into the airport and see what's going on. Alright, so not a total disaster, but not ideal. It looks like I've got about an hour and a half's delay. So that means I won't arrive into Béziers until about 6 p.m, probably get into town about 7 or 8. So that means very little adventuring this afternoon. That's a bit of a disappointment. But I think we'll be okay. We should still get some cool stuff done. So I've done what any Brit does, I guess, when they're flying out of the UK and they have a delay. If you're not in a lounge in business class, what you do is you go to Wetherspoons. Wetherspoons is very much a British institution, relatively well priced, certainly for an airport. Top tip for me, if you're traveling alone, Wetherspoons is a good bet. Big reason is they have a little app, so you can sit at your table, order your drinks, order your food. As long as you've got a seat, you'll be A-OK as somewhere to wait. So more about the trip itself. Like I said, we're going to Béziers in the south of France, in the Languedoc region. And the reason we're going, really, I'm trying to do this trip on the cheap, or relatively on the cheap. What can you do if you're in London and you want to get away for 24 hours to go see somewhere different? So we're going down to the old medieval city of Béziers, initially settled in 575 BCE, so one of the oldest cities in France. Population of about 80,000 people, lots of interesting architecture, I'm told, loads going on, so very much looking forward to that. The place itself is about 10 kilometres away from the Mediterranean, just to give you an idea if you know France. In terms of doing this on the cheap and on the budget, like I said, we're going to have about 22 hours there now, and we're flying with Ryanair, and the flights only cost £50, and I booked this probably a week or so ago, so a really good option if you want to get away for a cheap little trip. Anyway, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to have a quick beer, might get something to eat, and then we'll cross our fingers that there's no more delays on the flight. But let's get on with our journey. nous sommes arrivés at Béziers. We have arrived. Let's go check out this little airport. Sun's shining. It's a bit later than I wanted. It's 6:30 in the evening. What a charming little place. Okay, so made it to Béziers airport. Beautiful weather here in the south of France. The flight got in probably 2 hours late, and that means I have missed the bus. They have buses here which are timed for the flights, but apparently the buses don't change if the flights change. So what does that mean? That basically means my plan of doing this 24-hour trip on the cheap has to be somewhat abandoned. So I've just ordered myself an Uber. It's a 20-minute wait. Bit of a change. You go drop the bag off at the hotel, and then let's go have a little look around the town as we get into the evening. Not the end of the world, but I'm lucky enough to be able to afford an Uber. Might not be the same for you, so do bear that in mind. That might be an additional cost if you haven't thought about it. Right, time to go and sit and wait for this Uber to turn up. Still waiting for my Uber, and it's almost 7:30. So it's time to pivot a little bit on this trip, I think. So we're just going to go to the hotel, going to chill out. We might go for a little walk later, and then tomorrow I guess we have to pack all of this medieval city, Béziers, in the south of France, into one morning. But you know what? I like a challenge, and I'm sure I'll still have a lovely evening in the French sunshine. So now we're in Béziers. One of the big reasons I wanted to come here, actually probably the biggest reason, not just for the beautiful views in this bit of the south of France, but for the place I'm staying in tonight. So I'm staying in the Hotel La Prison. Guess what it used to be? That's right, a prison. Let's go take a look. Wowzers, would you look at that? You can see the old architecture, the old stonework here in the ancient city of Béziers in this converted prison. So what do we have? Nice little desk, a safe, always nice to see, some artwork, that seems to be everywhere. A bed, we'll give that a go in a minute. A little dressing table. Let's check out the bathroom and see what that's like. Okay. Very echoey, but perfectly functional. Nice looking shower. One test left to go, I think. The old bed test. Let's see what that's like. All right. Not bad at all. I think I'm going to enjoy my stay here. Unfortunately, it's going to be a bit shorter than I wanted. Definitely want a beer. So, first impressions, absolutely amazing. This is an old converted prison that was here in Béziers. They actually got rid of the last inmates, or the last inmates left here in 2009, and it has been done up into quite an amazing space. Really looking forward to seeing more.
Yeah.
My mega trip watching friend. That is it for today. I have had enough. It's been a very long journey. It's gone a little bit wrong, but I have to say, I can tell already I'm going to love Béziers. It is absolutely beautiful here. You can probably see the sun setting behind me. It's gone 8, well gone 8 now. I'm checked in, the pool's closed, I'm quite hungry. So I'm done for commentary for the day. I'm going to wander around, maybe get something to eat, maybe have another little drink, and we'll go again tomorrow. So I might show you a few more pictures of what I get up to tonight, but like I said, that's it for me.
Yeah.
Hello, and it is the morning after the night before, and I just wanted to take a few minutes by reflecting on the trip that I had yesterday. I've had a good sleep now, and I kind of wanted to start with Ryanair. Ryanair gets an awful lot of shit. Yes, they're an hour and a half late, but that's pretty unusual for them. One thing I would say, they're a great option if you want low cost. They do everything they can to keep their prices down. That does mean that perhaps it won't be the friendliest experience, there won't be any luxuries, but if you want to get away on the cheap, nice, simple service, then Ryanair, not too bad, but know what you're walking into. They did a really good job making sure that there are buses here to collect you from the flights, but the flight was late, I missed the bus, I had to pay a little bit extra. Not the end of the world, I got to stay at this absolutely beautiful hotel. One tip that I would give you though, like everything, is just be kind on your travels, be nice to your travels. It will make things a lot easier. If you're queuing up, you're getting a little bit stressed, my top tip is whack your headphones in, put your favourite song on, have a little boogie in your mind, be in a good mood, smile, and people will be nice back to you. I should have taken that lesson myself a little bit. By the time I turned up at the hotel last night, I have to admit I was a little bit grumpy with the receptionist, so I hope I get a chance to say sorry to her later, because this place really is beautiful and probably worth it for this 24-hour trip. I would recommend, if you're going to come here though, that maybe you give it a bit more than 24 hours. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. That will come up in your feed. New content every single Saturday morning. That is my promise to you. And after this mini trip adventure, then we leave on the mega trip. So you do not want to miss that. Today we're going to go and have a little look around at some of the sights, sounds, smells here in Béziers. Now I've actually started nice and early in the morning. It's probably about 7, half 7. The town's nice and quiet, so we can go have a little look around. Let's go. Alright, Mega Trippers, let's get into it. Now this amazing cathedral is based on a site that used to actually be a Roman temple, and that was destroyed in 1209 with the sacking of the city. But this St. Nazaire Cathedral was built across the 13th to 15th centuries, and you can see the different bits of the architecture here. Absolutely beautiful. On the top of the bluff, overlooking the River Orb in old Béziers. It's early in the day, but last night I promise you these streets were buzzing, full of people out enjoying the evening sunshine, enjoying the local wine, the local cuisine. A very pleasant place to be. Let's keep wandering around this beautiful old town. Check this out, just in the middle of the town, this old monument. I think down the bottom here we have good old Boney. I tried to give the sign a read. My French isn't the best, but it definitely talks about the French Revolution in there. Bonaparte is mentioned. Stunning. It's quite hard to do this justice of the beautiful old buildings. The streets are so narrow. I think what I'm going to do, Mega Tripper, is switch to a different camera with a wider angle lens for this walk through the old town. Bear with me and we'll be back on the scene. Alright, that should be a little bit better. Let's go have a little walk down these beautiful old roads here in Béziers. check this out. How quaint. Coiffeur, hairdresser. Look at the colour on that paint. That's probably been there 50s or 60s. Absolutely stunning. So behind me is one of 16 trompe-l'oeil which can be found painted on the walls around Béziers. Most of these are celebrating local wine merchants, local heroes. Like I said, there's 16 of them in the city, so if you're looking for something to do, why not walk around and see if you can spot them. Let's carry on our adventure. I absolutely love this time of day in southern Europe. The village is waking up, the town is waking up. People are starting to put bread out. You can start to see life happening. It's going to get hot soon. Definitely have to find a coffee. But anyway, we have made our way to Allée Paul Riquet. Now I'm not sure who Monsieur Riquet was, but that's who this alley is named after. And this is the main shopping street, the main street of cafes, and also where you'll find tourist information if you're looking for some more guidance that you don't get from me here on Megatrip. So let's go and have a little look at what cafe, or what the Allée Pour Mr. Riquet has to offer. Let's go. So now we're hitting the main bit of the Allée Pour Riquet. Now, if you come here by plane and your bus is running and that's what you decide to do, or you come by train, this is kind of straight out of the station. You cross the road, you head up here. It's very early in the morning still. I'll give you a little look in a second, so it's quite quiet. But as the day warms up, this will be buzzy, full of cafes, full of people enjoying the sunshine here in southern France in the Languedoc, sipping a nice glass of wine, maybe a little pastis. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking and show you this beautiful Grande Avenue here in Béziers. Look at this. Beautiful, tree-lined. It's going to be shady when the heat gets up in the heart of the day. So the Allée Paul Riquet here was built in 1827. Also in the 19th century was built the Jardin des Poètes. And this really is a nice garden with busts of poets, local folk heroes, fountains. But the reality is, it was actually built to join the station to the Allée Paul Riquet, which is the main thoroughfare here in downtown, let's call it, Béziers. So let's go and have a little look at that now. I'm told the big thing to see is the Fountain de Titan. Don't really know what that means, but apparently it's a big sod-off fountain sat in the middle of this jardin, or this garden des poètes, of poets. So let's have a little look around on our way down to the station area. Come with me. Nice and tranquil. You can imagine when the sun's out, lying on these banks, enjoying the day, just relaxing here. You'll notice as well things like there were palm trees out there, there's some banana plants, and it's worth thinking a little bit about the climate down here if you come and visit. I'm here in May and it's going to get to 23, 25 degrees. It's the start of May and it's going to be beautiful, but in the summer it will get very, very, very hot. If you're not really familiar with the geography of Europe, southern France is just at the north edge of Spain, and that may not seem like you're going to be that hot that far south, but you're not that far from Africa. It's just across the Med, and you can see that here in this park where we have a variety of cactuses or cacti and other hot weather plants. Look at these. You can see these are having no problems growing. Obviously usually found in really hot climates, but set against the backdrop of this beautiful French park in the Languedoc. This really is, I guess, where kind of grapes and southern French Provençal wine and produce, it really is at that kind of cutting point where if it was any hotter, any sunnier, it couldn't grow, or couldn't grow as well. If you think of southern Spain compared to southern France, they really don't have the same horticultural opportunities. Wow, look at this as well. What a stunning place. I'm glad I came out early this morning before it got too busy. You can see this beautiful architecture all around here. And here, I guess, are some of our famous poets. Joan Barthez here. Emile Barth. Jean Bonicelle. All these famous French poets, famous French artists in this beautiful, beautiful garden. Much like a lot of European towns though, there is quite often something a bit more sad, but beautiful in its own right. And here we have the War Memorial, recognising those who sacrificed their lives in various wars. But of course, Europe in the last century, or actually over a century now, been dominated by the two major world wars, and it really is something that still resonates and rings deep in this part of Europe, in fact across all of Europe. Hopefully that's a lesson to those involved in conflicts today, that that's exactly what we want to try and avoid. Alright, so this is the actual Titan fountain. Probably need to find a better view of it, but you can see from behind Atlas holding up the world, horses, cherubs, cherubim and cherubim supporting Atlas from famous Greek mythology. A real mix of cultures down here. Okay, let's magically cut this bit in for the Jardin des Poètes. That is the station behind me. If you arrive and you want to head up to the main thoroughfare, that's how you do it. You walk out of the station, cross the road, go through the Passage Souterrain, Centre-Ville, the subterranean passage, to the middle of the town. Okay, Megatrip Legends. That's pretty much me done looking around the old town, for now, at least anyway. But I bet you are thinking, is this a Megatrip mini trip without looking at any water, any boats? Hell no. I mentioned earlier, Béziers is on the river L'Aube, and that's where we're going now. We're going to go and have a look at some really historical waterways. It excites me, it may not excite you, but hopefully, look, strap in, I promise it'll be cool. Let's head down there now, take a little look around, and actually probably get out of the city itself a little bit. Let's do some walking. Let's go. We're now alongside the Canal du Midi. The Canal du Midi was built in the 17th century here in southern France in the Languedoc region, and it's generally considered as one of the most impressive construction projects of the 17th century. It runs for 240 kilometres, and we're going to have a look at some of the notable bits of it here in Béziers. But check this out, isn't it lovely? So the canal is lined with these trees with this pinky purple flower and some kind of fruit. I've got absolutely no idea whatsoever what they are, but if you do know, please let me know in the comments. They smell amazing. It is genuinely quite difficult to put into words just how beautiful it is down here. I don't know if you can hear the church bells ringing in the background, the beautiful Languedoc countryside all around me. Anyway, we're here to talk about canals. Look, that may not sound too interesting, but the Canal du Midi seriously is something impressive. And the big problem though with canals is, or with waterways in general, is water needs to stay flat. And if you've been to the Languedoc or to southern France or Provence, it's all quite similar. It's not mountainous, but it is hilly. There's lots of hills to get over. And here in Béziers, you have the River L'Aube, and that's the low point. And the canal needs to cross it. Now initially, or what they usually do in that situation, is they build locks, and that's what they did here. And there's a really cool series of really old locks that we are going to go and have a look at. But in 1858, that was replaced by something else. That was replaced by the Béziers Aqueduct, or in French, and I'll try not to murder this completely, the Pont du Canal de l'Aube. So the bridge canal over the L'Aube. And that's exactly where we are now. It is an impressive structure. It is apparently 28 metres wide, 12 metres high, so that's how deep the water is for the boats, and 240 metres long. And like I said, built in 1858, and really part of the picturesque scenery down here in Béziers. So have a little look. It's amazing. Just achingly beautiful. Right, the sun's starting to come up. I'm gonna get my little walk on, I think. Have a little walk down the canal and see what else we can find. So as promised, the sun is out in southern France, and we're here to look at the 9 Fontaron locks. Now I did say that the aqueduct replaced something else in 1838 to make it easier for boats to pass down the Canal du Midi. But before that, there were locks, and there were 9 of them in a row, and we're going to go have a closer look at them in a moment. But this is where Pierre-Paul Riquet of the main thoroughfare, of the big statue in the middle of the city, comes into play. So during the reign of Louis XIV, he was the guy who actually built these impressive locks. So that's between 1666 and 1681. So this is now very much a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Let's go and have a little look. Absolutely stunning. 100% worth a visit. Beautiful countryside. Don't forget, these things are almost 400 years old. Built in the reign of Louis XIV. And it's part of what made this area so rich, so well connected. People could trade their wine particularly, a big thing to be produced here, and still is. Now, mega trippers. These videos are for you to come along with me on my adventures, but also I do like to give you a little tip, here and there anyway. If you do visit this area, if you do come to Béziers, which I highly recommend, it's a lovely little walk down here by the canal. So if you fancy stretching your legs and a little stroll, you can do what I've done. You can head down to the Canal du Midi. If you search on your map for the Tourist Information Centre, Canal du Midi, that's a good starting point. You can walk along over the aqueduct, up the canal to the 9 Fontaron locks, see these beautiful 400-year-old pieces of architecture, pieces of industrial sculpture, and then you can stroll back along the canal, along the old route, before the aqueduct was put in, to the town. That's exactly what I'm going to do now. I can go and have a look at Béziers from a different angle. If you do decide to try this little walk along the canal, whole distance I think is probably maybe 3, 4, 5 kilometres max. Then as you get back into town, you'll hit the main road, or a main road. And you can either cross that and keep walking along the canal, or you can hang a left. Now my recommendation and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang a left, and that'll take us over to the Pont Vieux. And what that means is we'll get a much better view as we walk back up to the old city, to the old town. Let's go do that now. So I promised the sun would come out, and it did. I probably should have promised all of the weather, because it's now starting to rain, so I've switched to my waterproof camera. The shades have come off, regretting wearing a white t-shirt and not having anything else with me. Anyway, the reason why I want to go this way is because it will take you to the Pont Vieux. This is a medieval bridge here in Béziers over the river L'Aube. It's built in the 12th century. It's 241 metres long. So if you're paying attention, that's 1 metre longer than the aqueduct. And one of the good reasons to come down here, not only is it a lovely bridge to walk over, which we'll see, but it also gives you a fantastic view of not only the river, but also the old city, the old town, where we started today, and in fact where I stayed last night. So you can even look up to the prison where we stayed last night, right there, just under the cathedral. You can start to get an idea. You can see the turret of the prison. You start to really get a flavour of where we are. And look at these beautiful views down the river. I really hope the camera is doing this justice. Absolutely delightful. And look at this cute, quirky, ever so slightly wonky Pont Vieux bridge, medieval bridge, over the river L'Aube, here in Béziers, in Languedoc, in southern France. What a day to be alive. Can't recommend it enough. Definitely worth a quick trip. I'm not sure you can fill a full week here unless you wanted to tour the vineyards. But wow, it really is beautiful. Really is stunning. Now, while I've been looking here, I've seen something else. I don't know if you can quite make it out. It looks like there's some sort of structure and then a walkway up back to the cathedral, up back to the prison, the Hotel La Prison, where I've been staying. So let's have a little mooch. Let's see if that's the best way back up. Got no idea. So it looks like there's my own little route back to the Hotel La Prison, obviously via the historic centre. Hopefully we've got a nice little lift in here or something. It is quite a steep hill to climb. Look at this, here we go. Smells of piss like any lift. Look at that. Taking me back up the old city walls, saving my poor legs. I am very much ready for a cafe, a croissant, something to get the day started. I don't know what it is about French lifts. In the UK, all lifts stink of piss. In France, they all stink of piss and cigarettes. I'm not saying I don't like it, it's probably better than just piss. It's just odd. Dirty windows, we can start to get a view as we head up. Wow, much easier than hiking back up to the old city walls. La Passerelle Pierre de Boncy. Look at this. An amazing view of Pont Vieux. And there we go. Nous sommes retournés à l'Hôtel de Prison. We have come back to the prison hotel. All right, let's have a little rest up and start thinking about a little bit of lunch and heading for the bus for the airport. Okay, Mega Trippers, as promised, I am back on the Allée Paul Riquet, and you can see it's still quite early, but it's starting to come to life a little bit. You can see the tables are starting to go out for the restaurants. People are walking around, enjoying a Sunday in southern France. But that's it for me here in Béziers. Pretty much the end of my journey. Just one morning really, 24 hours, under 24 hours here in Béziers. Definitely worth a visit. A beautiful, beautiful old town. Some nice countryside walks, an exciting city, some great history. So definitely worth a visit. I'm going to eat some food. I'm going to jump on the bus. Hopefully there'll be a bus this time to the airport and shoot on back to London. But Mega Tripper, if you've enjoyed what you watch, please, please, please do make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's just down there, a little bell icon. Hit subscribe, turn on the alerts. It really does massively help me. It massively helps the channel, and most importantly for you, it makes sure that you don't miss anything coming up on Mega Trip. It's completely free. You can cancel at any time, and I promise you, you don't want to miss the next episode. So finally, we've done our mini trips and we are heading off on the Mega Trip. So the next live video, the next new content, Saturday morning 9 AM UK time, will be for real Mega Trip.